Welcome back to the Library of Awakening. Today, we will dive into Alchemy, unveiled by Johannes Helmond, by decree of the Order of the Hermetic Initiated Gold and Rosicrucians of 1710. A book that takes us beyond the surface-level understanding of alchemy as merely the transformation of metals, and into its true meaning, the transformation of consciousness itself. For the first time, the secret of the Philosopher's Stone is being openly explained. In this chapter, you will begin to discover that alchemy was never just about turning lead into gold, but about awakening the hidden potential within the human being, revealing the spiritual science that ancient initiates used to understand life, death, and rebirth. This is the path of inner transmutation, the path of awakening. If you all enjoy these reads, do us a favor, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, as it does help us grow organically, and we do appreciate the love and the support. Let's begin. Just a few decades ago, alchemy was belittled as medieval superstition. However, since then, scientists have been successful, by means of atomic fission, to produce a transformation of the elements. Now, at last, the possibility of alchemy, in principle, has to be admitted. In our present times, psychology began to embrace alchemy and reached a certain level of understanding, whereby they came to the conclusion that alchemy was less a process of physical transmutation, but more a process of an inner psychic transformation of a human being. On account of this conclusion, alchemy is now being looked upon in a different light. It should, however, be pointed out that modern psychology, especially as it is represented by C.G. Jung, did not grasp the central problem of alchemy. C.G. Jung conceives the process of alchemy to be solely and totally as psychological, and looks upon it as just a kind of individuation process. That means an integration of the content of the unconscious. However, alchemy is considerably more than that. Jung and his fellow psychologists overlook hereby the eminent realistic character of alchemy, which is interdependent with the inner body, the corpus subtile of the human being. Jung, however, considers this to be purely psychological, collective unconscious. Even though, upon closer examination, the substantiality of this corpus sideribus, as it was named by Paracelsus, cannot be doubted. Concerning the question of alchemy, we are not dealing with a mere psychoanalytical process, nor are we dealing with a simple cooking of gold, which it is deemed to be by many. The lead, which the alchemists are changing into gold, is not the PB of the common chemists, but instead is the dark Saturnus of the Hermetic philosophers. Again, this is not the external, celestial, or heavenly body, but instead is its inner astral principle, which is present everywhere in the materia. When we are dealing with alchemy, we are not dealing with the processes of the great outer world, but instead we are dealing with the very secretive microcosmic processes which form, since time immemorial, the central subject of the mysteries. Therefore, it can be said, and rightfully so, that the Hermetic sciences are the oldest sciences mankind has. It is probable that this science originated from a tradition to which even the ancient Egyptians were in awe of, and they depicted them as secrets of primeval times. The Greeks and Israelites received these mysteries from the Egyptians, and they were well kept by them, especially by the school of the prophets, which became extinct during the Babylonian captivity. Later on, this ancient Hermetic tradition was taken up again by original Christianity, and it was continued by the first disciples and apostles as Disciplina Arcani. The Hermetic science came to the New Platonists and to the Arabian philosophers from the original Christian Nazarenes, and through them it reached Europe in the Middle Ages. As a result of this, several Hermetic centers were founded in Europe. That is how, in 1429, the Order of the Golden Fleece came into being. Out of this emerged the Rosicrucians, who did not initially appear publicly, but remained very private. It was not until after the 30-year war that the Rosicrucians established a closer link with the rest of the world, especially in the form of the purely Hermetic gold and Rosicrucianism of 1710. This tradition is being continued in the present consciously, only by our order. In our present times, there are writings carrying the name of alchemy, which are provided by certain sources and presented in a very appealing cover. These writings caused, in many instances, a considerable misuse, as they contained the most absurd theories. Our illuminated order is seeking to redirect these false doctrines through the publication of this treatise. It is not the intention of our order to disclose all the secrets of alchemy and to throw them under the feet of the great crowds of the curiosity seekers, speculators, and skeptics. Instead, it is meant to show the few sincere seekers of the hidden wisdom the right direction, where one must search for the great elixir. These seekers will then have a measure, a standard in their possession to assist them to differentiate between the writings of the true Hermetic adepts and the elaborations of the dreamers and charlatans. Whosoever of the sincere seekers and students of the Hermetic sciences is called upon will, without a doubt, sooner or later, be in touch with our illuminated order and will receive further information and guidance which are not contained in these writings before you. It is impossible that any mortal understands this art unless he has been previously enlightened by the divine light. Dornius, Theater, Chem, 1602. The terminology of the old spagyric adepts is indeed a dark labyrinth for all those who do not thoroughly know the principles of the Hermetic sciences. In order to obtain this knowledge, many years or even decades of study of the old classic writings of the adepts is a prerequisite. In addition, there must be a higher enlightenment or instructions given by a true master of the art before you can truly master the theory of the Hermetic sciences. Without this, no one should dare to approach the practice of the Hermetic art. This is said in the Microcosmic Prologue 1720. It is with the exegesis of the writings of the sages, as it is with the Bible. Whosoever wants to understand and interpret, both must ask God for the Spirit and the light, out of which and in which they are written. He must simply have the light, which shone for the sages. Otherwise he would judge this, like a blind man would judge colors. Only the truly informed have the ability to recognize certain marks or signs to indicate which Mercurius is specifically spoken of in the old writings of the adepts. Without the key, alchemy remains an obscure puzzle. The prime materialistic subject. The true and actual subject of the alchemists is the inner salt, the sal saturni, the tartarus or the whinstone of the sages, the blue-green sal tartari, also named the smaragdine salt, our vitriol, the gold salt, gold corpus, sun body, the Adamic earth, the red salt, the gold dust from Ophir, the virgin earth, the fish achenes with silver and golden scales, which the sages catch in their sea, our hermaphrodite, the corpus solaire et lunaire, the soulful salt, outside white and inside red, our green lion, the fixed green sulfur, the root moisture, the crystalline central water, a fatty dry water, the fat of the earth, the mercurius coagulatus, a physical spirit and a spiritual body, the inner salt body, the light salt, the light body, the ethereal astral body. This inner, invisible astral body is sometimes called Proteus. He can assume all the colors, forms, and shapes of the world. He is the corpus sideribus of Paracelsus, sometimes called Evastrum or Mumia, the microcosmic magnet magnus microcosmi, because he is the life-maintaining, indestructible, and attracting principle in the human being. Wherever this principle does not exist, death and putrefaction sets in. In all three kingdoms, No creature can be without this sulfur. He is not the life balsam, but virtually the glue with which the body is being kept together, and also the magnet which attracts the heavenly sulfur, or the life balsam for the maintenance of the creatures. Welling opus, Kabbalisticum. This mumia, which encompasses the outer, earthly body of the human being like a lucid envelope, can be found in all kingdoms of nature, because no body could exist without this life balsam's inner magnet. Contained within the minerals is this mumia, especially in the sulfur of the same, and Paracelsus calls it stana, or trupat, secret virtue of minerals. The plants contain this astral magnet mainly in their ethereal oils, and here this is named lephas by Paracelsus. In the animal and human kingdoms, Paracelsus refers to this astral organism many times as evestrum, which has its seat in the fat and blood, hence the fat and blood rites in the old religions and mythologies. The knowledge of the invisible human being begins with the evestrum, which belong to the ancient mysteries. Evestrum is also united with the eternal. After death, the evestrum remains on earth and gives indications if the human being experiences joy or if the human being is in pain. Paracelsus. All beings have their evestrum, even God. The Most High and kind God has the evestrum mysteral, in which his nature and his attributes can be seen. And through the evestrum mysteral, all the good and enlightenment can be recognized. Even the one who is damned has his evestrum in this world, in which evil and everything is recognized. That is how fragile the laws of nature are. Paracelsus. Once in a while, the alchemists referred to this evestrum as a lasting water. The solvens is not called aqua permanens for nothing, the reason being that it should remain that way, and it should become an evestro. Ho. De Monte Snyder, Tractatus de Medicina Universali. The old Roman philosopher Lucretius said, Bis duos sunt homines, manes, caro, spiritus, umbra, quatuor ista loca bis duo suscipiunt, terra tegit carnem, tumulum circumvolet umbra, orcas habet manes, spiritus, astra petit. A human being has four basic parts: the manes, the flesh, the spirit, and the shadow. The flesh is buried in the earth, the shadow hovers above the grave, the soul descends to the underworld, the spirit ascends to heaven. According to the teaching of the ancients, space came into being through the appearance of the Earth disk in the middle of the hollow world globe, being separated into an upper and lower arch. They called the upper space the ether, or Uranos, heaven, and the lower space the underworld, or the Tartarus. The earth, or the outer world, is the kingdom of the physical senses and of the common intelligence. The dark underworld is the sphere of feelings and dreams. The illuminated ultraworld is the kingdom of the divine spirit and eternal primordial truth and wisdom. Thus, the earth is an in-between kingdom between the world of the angels and the dark kingdom of the demons. Between the animal kingdom and the inhabitants of the light world beyond stands the human being, half animal and half angel. When the human being nourishes himself with the heavenly spirit, the angel conquers the animal, and the human being enters into the temple of eternal light. The sulfur of the philosophers, sages. The alchemists have three different kinds of sulfur: an external burnable sulfur, a white fixed sulfur, and a red volatile sulfur. The fixed sulfur is the green lion in the center of our subject. The volatile sulfur awakens the fixed sulfur and brings it from potential into reality. This astral central salt of the earth contains both sulfur and mercurius. Firstly, a fiery spirit is extracted out of the central salt, called the water of life, aqua vitae, the volatile white lily, the white dragon or eagle. Within this mercurial spirit is a subtle oil, the volatile gold of the philosophers. This spirit, rises out of the earth into the air, then descends again as golden rain or dew, fertilizing all life. The philosophers call this moist fire the Archeum. It is the spirit of the Lord, Ruach Elohim, moving upon the waters. This volatile spirit is the most refined substance of the philosopher's stone. The philosophers say, a twofold fiery man must be nourished with a white swan. The spirit cannot be coagulated without the body, and the body cannot be dissolved without the spirit. From this interaction emerges a middle substance between spirit and body, a physical spirit and a spiritual body. This is the materia prima, the original substance out of which transformation occurs. The volatile fire is the prime origin of the light of the infinite. This divine light descends into the world soul and sustains life. The prima materia universalis. In the beginning, everything was one water. The prima materia universalis. Above it hovered the divine primordial fire, eternal life. This separated the prima materia into upper, middle, and lower waters. The upper water is the crystal heaven. The middle water is the mercurial spirit, called Azoth. The lower water is the root moisture of the earth. Before the fall, this water was pure and luminous. After the fall, it became dark, an imprisoned spirit and soul. Whosoever knows how to separate the immortal from the mortal restores the original divine state and becomes a true alchemist. What you've just heard is the foundation of a deeper truth, that alchemy is not something external, but something that happens within. The process of transformation begins in the mind, unfolds in awareness, and ultimately leads to the awakening of the self. If you're enjoying these readings, do us a favor as we grow this platform organically. Hitting the thumbs up button truly helps. And if you're not already subscribed, consider joining us here in the Library of Awakening. We appreciate your presence. And until next time, continue the work. The transformation has already begun.
Welcome to the journey. May this space inspire you to ask questions, explore the unknown, and most importantly, to awaken. This is the Library of Awakening. I know some of the perspectives that I share may be as challenging for you as they once were for me. But isn't that the beauty of exploration? Every perspective, no matter how unconventional, has something valuable to contribute to it if it's shared. Knowledge is not absolute. It's a living, breathing phenomena, shaped and reshaped over time. The important thing is not always be right, but to always be curious. Explore freely, share boldly, and learn deeply. And don't rely solely on others to validate your discoveries. Stand firm in integrity, even in the face of criticism. Remember that growth always means embracing the humility to admit when we're wrong. Learning from our errors is not a setback, it's the very essence of our progress. So, welcome to the journey. May this space inspire you to ask questions, explore the unknown, and most importantly, to awaken. This is the Library of Awakening.